say she's all alone and needs somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's your favorite Dwarves album? If you had to pick one, if somebody put a gun to your head and said, "What's your favorite Dwarves album?"
I couldn't pick one, but I could pick three.
It's like children, Ron. It's like children.
I'm saying, what's your Sophie's choice of Dwarves albums?
It's something like children, but for me, it really boils down to three Dwarves records that mean a lot to me. The first one is Blood, Guts, and Pussy, because I think it's so self-contained and perfect in that Ramonesy way. It expresses itself in a 100% way. You know, the songs, the production, the performance, and the cover are all of a piece. I'm sort of a morbid person, and I was so elated when that record came out, because I remember consciously thinking, oh great, now I can die.
Yeah.
You know, now it's okay. You know, if I die, I created this with my friends, you know? And so Blood, Guts, and Pussy for me is a very important one. The next really important one for me is The Dwarves Are Young and Good Looking, because that was really
that's my favorite record. Yeah.
When we became a pop band, it's our most popular record. It's the first record that we made that, you know, quote unquote, sounds good. You know, it was where I made the acquaintance of Eric Valentine, who was a real genius, who was able to show me what producers can do for you and show me different ways of looking at music that are important. And that showed me that people who are not punk can make a great punk record. In fact, if Eric Valentine had been a punk, he wouldn't have been able to make that record the way that I wanted. Because I already had the punk covered. You know, you're making a record, you got Vaj Moore, he's more punk than anybody you know is ever going to be. I got Nick Oliveri on my side, he's more punk than anybody you know is ever going to be. I got fucking, you know, He Who Cannot Be Named, just more full on insane than anybody you're ever going to know. So I had all the punk covered, but what made that a great record was I brought in a professional who helped me to understand how records are made and how they strike people and what happens. And so that to me is the next very important one. And then would come The Dwarves Must Die, which to me was the high watermark of production in my life. Like, that record is so dense, so insane, such a hodgepodge of production styles, personnel, genre mixing, and it's the loudest record in your collection, no matter who you are. It came out in 2004. I would defy anyone to put on any punk rock record and have it come through the speakers at the same volume. You can't do it. It's so well mixed. It's so perfectly conceived across the board that for me, that was like the high watermark of Dwarves production. And it's not one of our more popular records. With Blood, Guts, very notorious with the old school kind of, I want the first edition of everything people. And with Young Good Looking, it's very like, it's our most approachable record or our most popular one, everybody likes it. With Must Die, I'm kind of out on a limb by myself. You know, every once in a while I'll hear from a guy in Japan, like, this is the most brilliant record ever made, you know, but for the most part, it's like, most Dwarves fans didn't care for it. I think because, you know, the guitar was half a dB quieter than the other records or whatever it was, whatever makes people love or hate things. But for me, Must Die is such a complex record that really you could listen to it every day for a year and hear something different in it.
That's actually the record that turned me into like a really big Dwarves fan. Like I was just kind of like a half Dwarves fan previous to that. I mean, I listened to a lot of it, but like I had never listened to like when a Dwarves record came out previous to that, I had never listened to a Dwarves record for like 2 or 3 weeks straight without listening to anything else. And I did that with The Dwarves Must Die.
Oh, well, that's great. See, that's very gratifying for me, because that record really meant a lot to me in terms of jumping to every genre, you know, and doing things like you make a hip hop track, but without like putting on a baseball cap and going, yo, you know, and fucking just, it was, you know, you make a surf track without being like, hey, cowabunga, you know, I mean, you make all of these different genres and they were all legitimate, you know, and there's so much collaboration there. There's so many guest artists there. Everybody from San Quinn, you know, gangster rapper from San Francisco, to Nash Cato from Urge Overkill, you know, to DJ Mars, you know, is like a Wicca DJ guy, to you know, Dexter Holland comes in, and by singing on Massacre and Salt Lake City, vaults them to this whole different level. You know, he's like the definitive pop punk guy, and so he's on that song. I mean, there's so many. Yeah, I just can't say enough about Dwarves Must Die. I think if you know, it's just a record, and no matter who you are, you hate one of the songs on there. You know what I mean? Which always makes me happy. It's like, yeah, I love every song on there, but I know damn well that everybody, they hate at least one of the songs on there. Just the genre, they don't like it, they don't want to deal with it. They, you know what I mean? So it's very like, you know, that to me is a very important record.
I'm in